Hey guys, welcome back to another daily update video. It was a crazy day in the market today. It is Tuesday, May 26th. It's after Memorial Weekend. The market is closed now. It's 4:22 p.m. Eastern Time. And just taking a look at the sector map here, we can see there's a lot of green on the board, right? So overall, great day for the market. But if you take a closer look at the technology sector. A lot of red on the market. A lot of the big tech stocks were either sideways or down today. I mean, Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, not looking too good for tech stocks today. And let me draw your attention to AMD. AMD was down 3.6% almost today. NVIDIA was also down 3.4%. So this got me very curious because from my prior videos, I was looking into getting into some more AMD positions this week. So let's see what happened and stay tuned to see if I made any plays today. But yeah, overall crazy day in the market. So let me show you the map on AMD for today only. So this is AMD, opened up in the green above $56, but then slowly, just all day long, just bled out, just died slowly. It actually closed the day at $53. So it lost about $2 today, which was about 3.59%, so almost 3.6%. And when the market opened this morning and everything was up, I mean, take a look at IWM. Look at this, IWM opened $3.84 today, but that was actually up $5 pre-market, and it just traded sideways all day today. I mean, look at IWM is going to hit 139, 140 soon. I think it may have hit no, actually never hit 140. Oh, there we go, 140.07. So just hit 140 today. But I mean, man, if you go back to some of my other videos, when I had IWM at 127, could have made some sweet profit. But you can't think like that. There's always another trade, so just got to keep moving forward, and there's always another position to play. So I'm not even going to sweat that. But if we go back to AMD, so again, I saw in the morning AMD was green, but then I saw as the market opened and just kind of traded for the first hour or so, AMD was just kind of slowly dipping. I didn't want to open any position on AMD in the morning, and I said, you know what, if this trend continues all day long, then I'm going to get in on the cheap at the end of the day. And that's exactly what I did. So what I did was I just watched AMD slowly bleed out. And I don't watch the market the entire time from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Once I see what's happening in the morning within the first hour or so, and I kind of estimate what's going to happen for the rest of the day, I go and do my own thing, and I come back for the last hour, for power hour at 3 p.m. And my hypothesis was correct when I came back, in that AMD just slowly bled out all day long. So initially, to give you an example, when the market opened and AMD was around $55, $56, I was looking into getting at the $51, $52, $53 strike price options because they gave me a good return on my risk. Anything really less than 51 wasn't even worth my time. I mean, honestly, even $51 strike options were not that great. So I was looking at 52 and 53, and there was even a point in the morning that I was considering the $54 strike because the premiums were good and AMD was trading around 56. So really anything less than that, it just wasn't a good return on risk. But as I said, as the market slowly, or as AMD slowly bled out and closed the day around $53 or just above $53, I was able to sell some cash secured puts at the $50 and $52 strike prices, which was fantastic for me. So, because look at the premiums. So I was actually able to get into AMD at the $52 strike price, and I sold a put at 52, and I collected $64 in premium, and actually sold 2 of these contracts. So just to do a return on risk calculation, that's $64 divided by 5,200. So that is a 1.2% return on my risk. Now this is a little bit more of a riskier trade, but AMD dropped 3.6% today. And the funny thing is actually good news came out about AMD. And the good news was that the Linux founder has shifted his allegiance from Intel to AMD. So it was odd that even though good news came out, AMD stock dropped, but I think it wasn't a function of AMD itself. If you look at the whole tech sector today, all the tech stocks dropped. And actually, if you look at the QQQ, the NASDAQ 100 ETF, you can see it also went down. But as I showed you before, IWM went up, right? That's the Russell 2000 index. So it just wasn't a good day for tech stocks, which is fine by me, because once I saw AMD was bleeding, I was salivating because I knew I could get in at a good price, meaning low strike options. And again, let's say I get assigned at $52 or $50. So what? I'm going to own these stocks on the cheap, because let's say AMD does bounce back up to 53, 54, 55, 56. I'm going to make so much money in stock appreciation. So I think this was a good play. We'll see how the week plays out. But there's only 3 more days left in the week of trading, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I know I am cutting it a little bit close at the $52 strike because the stock right now is around 53 and some change. But my hypothesis for this week is that this was just a fluke for AMD, and I really think and I hope that AMD is going to go back up to 54, 55, 56 by Friday. And if that's the case, that would be the best case scenario for me, because then hopefully Monday morning, when my cash settles and I don't have any shares of stock assigned, then I can just go ahead and flip AMD and just sell the stock outright like I did for IWM. Or, maybe I'll hold them and sell covered call. That's in the future. We'll see what happens. But the other play that I made is I sold a cash secured put on AMD at the $50 strike price. So that also was good premium. That was also $24 in premium that I got for those contracts. So just to calculate a return on risk, that was $24 divided by 5,000 in collateral. So that was almost a 0.5% return on my risk, 0.48. I ended up selling in total 2 contracts of the $52 strike price and 3 contracts of the $50 strike price for a total of $200 in premium. I actually spent all of my portfolio on AMD, and I'll tell you why in a second. So I ended up buying 2 contracts of the $52 strike price, and then I bought 3 contracts of the $50 strike price. And that's because every other stock was in the green. So if you watch my previous videos from this weekend, I was looking at Chewy stock, I was looking at IWM again, and I was also looking at Micron or MU. And all of those stocks were in the green. I mean, you saw IWM was up. I'll show you Micron. Micron was up by 3.5%, I think, all day. And Chewy, Chewy was kind of sideways. And I looked at the options chain for Chewy, and I backed off of Chewy options for 2 reasons. One, because it was not very liquid. So I looked at the bid-ask spread, meaning if you were to open these option chains, see the bid here is 62 cents and the ask is 65. So if you remember from my previous videos, that's what you want. There's not a big of a difference. There's only 3-cent difference between this bid and this ask, which is good because that tells you that the stock is very liquid, meaning it's very heavily traded, so it's very easy to get in and out of options on. And I looked at the bid-ask spread on Chewy, and it just wasn't as liquid. It was about a 10 or more cent spread. So it was going to be harder for me to get filled, and then may even be harder for me to close the position if I wanted to. And then the other thing was Chewy was kind of sideways, a little bit down, and I haven't played Chewy yet, and I'm not really sold on the company in general. So I said, why risk it this week? Let me just stick with my guns and go with my best friend AMD here. But I'll show you Micron stock right now. So you can see Micron opened up in the green and just traded sideways. It dipped a little bit during power hour, just like all the stocks do. But that's why I stayed away from Micron, because I was initially looking at the $42 strike options. But when the market opened today, the $42 options did not give me a good return on my risk. If I wanted to get a decent return, I was going to look at the $43.50 strike price. So I'll show you the option chain from Micron so you can see what I was talking about. So selling puts expiring this Friday, and you can see the stock is currently trading at $45.85. And so if I were to look at the $42 strike, that's only $8 in premium that I would collect. So just to do a quick calculation, $8 divided by 4,200 in collateral, that would be less than a 0.2% return on my risk. And in general, I like to make trades that are 0.4 at least. Otherwise, I feel like they're just not worth my time and there's not a good use of my portfolio. So that's why I would have to go up to the $43.50 strike option, because I think that was giving me a good return. So 21 divided by 43.50. Yeah, see, that's where I was getting the 0.4 about. That's almost 0.5. So I could probably go to 43.5, but you know, looking at the option or the share price, it's only about $2.5 difference, and I haven't played Micron yet, and I thought it was odd because AMD and Micron are both in the same kind of genre of tech stocks. They're both chip manufacturers. So I found it odd that AMD was going down, but Micron was going up. So, you know, maybe next week. I'm not saying Micron is a bad stock. It's just that I saw a really good opportunity in AMD today, so I wanted to capitalize on it. Now, the one thing you have to be careful is I essentially put all my eggs in one basket with AMD, right? But let's just take a quick look at IWM. So yeah, I showed you before, IWM opened up green, it just traded sideways. Again, the other thing is that in order to get a good premium or return on risk on IWM, I would have had to select a higher strike price. So just looking at the puts for this Friday, you know, this weekend I was hoping IWM would open and stay around 134. That way I could get the 127 strike, and at the time it was giving me a good return on my risk. But because it opened so high, I would have to get, I think the $133 strike is what I calculated. So 59 divided by 13,300. Yeah, that's giving me the 0.4% return on risk. And you know, I'm not saying IWM was a bad trade, but I didn't want to lock up over half of my portfolio in one option play, especially at a 0.4 return on my risk. You can see from my AMD trades, I'm getting more return on my risk. So, you know, this price just got too high. You know, if Elon wants to tweet out the price of IWM is too high, IMO, by all means. But yeah, if you remember from my previous weekend videos, I said that I really wanted all the stocks to open up in the red because I can get them in the cheap. Well, all the stocks I was looking at, the four that I mentioned on my weekend videos, all opened up in the green. So actually Chewy was kind of similar to AMD, where it opened up green and then it just bled out through the day. But again, I'm just not sold on the company yet. I don't know too much about it. I'll just keep it on my watch list to see how it trades and see what happens. So basically between Chewy, AMD, IWM, and Micron, MU, those four stocks are the ones I was really looking at today. And of the four, AMD was the only one that gave me the setup that I wanted. It was a perfect situation for AMD because the stock was down 3.6%, and oddly enough, good news came out. So I'm hoping, or AMD should, go back up for the rest of the week, making my puts secure. But honestly, I mentioned in my other videos that I would love to get into AMD at the low $50 cost basis. So if that happens, you know, so be it. I like AMD as a long-term company. I think they're really doing well in the market, especially with their products and services. So if I get assigned, so what? I'll sell covered calls on it, or I'll, you know, sell the stock outright. But so if you already did the math, I collected a total of $200 in premium on my AMD puts because I sold 2 of the $52 puts for $64 in premium each. So that's 64 plus 64. And then I also sold 3 of the $50 put options at a premium of $24 each. So that's 24 plus 24 plus 24. So I collected a total of $200 in premium just by selling those 5 AMD contracts this afternoon. And you know, the one thing about AMD is that today it broke below the 54.62 Fibonacci level, and now it's trading in this blue region. So it's trading in theory between 50.88 and 54.62. If that's the scenario that AMD is going to trade on for the rest of the week, then in theory my $50 puts should be secure, and maybe I'll get assigned on my contracts at a strike of $52. But again, that's okay with me because I believe in the company long term. And one other thing I just wanted to mention was, you've seen this website before in my videos, and this is tradingview.com. The one thing I like about this is not only is it just visually appealing and it does a good job of putting your technical indicators out there and giving you a lot of customizability, but it gives you a lot of quick information here about the volume, you know, when the shares, when the earnings are, etc. You can click more here to get even way more in-depth information. But it also has this kind of sidebar here where it links to stock tweets, and it gives you up-to-date stock tweets about what people are saying on it. So it's really interesting because you can see, you know, I don't really care what people are saying because a lot of it is just nonsense about it's going up, it's going down and whatnot. But you can learn a little bit because just by scrolling through, this is where I learned about the Linux founder switching from Intel to AMD. So just a quick, you know, glance at any news breaks or anything like that about a stock that you're willing to trade, because the last thing you want is for you to get into an option and then, you know, bad news has come out and you just didn't happen to see it, and then all of a sudden you're upside down in your trade. That's about it that I want to say today. So I did get into 5 contracts of AMD at the $50 and $52 strike prices. I think AMD is going to go back up for the rest of the week. I think today was just a fluke day for tech stocks in general, and I think that's why AMD was a part of that. And actually, if you look at the RSI curve, it dropped below the 30% level, so that means it's oversold. So in theory, again, if you believe in technical analysis, AMD should bounce back up because they sold off too much. As always, if you have any comments or questions, leave them below. Let me know if you made any trades today, because it was a very interesting day in the market. So I'm curious to see if anybody else made any plays and what they were and what stocks you like. If you have any suggestions for future videos, let me know. And as always, happy trading.